Auzubillahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I've been thinking about what to talk about today, and I just said to myself, you're a retired person, why don't you talk about life after retirement? Or in other words, planning for retirement. Because most people just see themselves that, okay, I'm working and retirement just creeps on you. And before you know it, you're at a ripe old age. But you ask yourself, when do you retire? People retire at different ages. It truly depends on what you want from life, right? And retirement, in all honesty, doesn't mean that you stop working. You can actually retire from a career and pick up another career. I met one professor in Harvard. His name is Cotter. He's one of the leading gurus in, I think his area of is leadership. He has several books on leadership. And Cotter is he was 68 years old at that time. And he said, I've retired from 4 careers and I'm planning my 5th career. So truly, retirement doesn't necessarily mean that you're working, because truly when most people stop working entirely, they tend to die very quickly. I mean, we've seen it everywhere. So you can decide to maybe just slow down the pace. So I believe that when you're going to retire, it's best to start very, very early. Your planning has to be early. And your planning starts from the day you start work. You start earning a living. So you can decide. I know someone who said to me, look, Auntie Mo, I'm going to work for 10 years. And in those 10 years, I'm going to work flat out. And by the time I'm 35, I want to retire and just go into the university and lecture. So that means that he has to have planned his finances much earlier in life. It has been proven time after time that if you start putting a bit of money away the day you start working, and let's say you put some money away on a monthly basis for 10 years, and then you now decide that, okay, no more savings, and I will collect the money when I'm maybe 55, 65, I retire. The amount of money is usually in hundredfolds of how much you have put aside. The richest man in Babylon, there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, says that at least 10% of your earnings have to put in savings. There was a book I was reading. I read the book a long time ago, actually, and it recommended that you need to put 10% of your savings, of your salaries, of your earnings in savings, right? It might not be 10% for you, because truly, when we're young, there's a lot of avenues for you to expend. Your children are growing up, there's school fees, there's so many things for you to do. So it might not be 10%, but always cultivate the habit of putting something aside for the future. The trick is to have the future in focus. And truly, the decisions you make today have a tremendous impact on your future. Do you consume all you earn? If you do, you better stop it right now. You have to put something. And the older we get, the more expenses we have. Okay, fine, the children might have finished their education, so that's out of your hair. But health expenses is getting a lot these days. The older you get, the more health issues come up. You have to be able to pay for the health. And I don't believe that anybody who retires has to have a fall down in their standard of living. You have to be able to maintain that standard of living that you have been used to. Because if you retire and you are now impoverished, that means you haven't planned your retirement properly. The challenge when you retire is not to have a decline in your standard of living. Everything that you used to be able to do while working, you should be able to do post your organizational life. And for me, retirement is the time to exploit whatever passions you have. You must have some hobbies. So if it is doing anything that you have, doing gardening, reading, you lecturing. I have a passion for facilitating, so that's what I'm doing as a retired person now. You know, exploit your passions, get closer to God. You know, maybe do dawah work because you have quite a bit of time on your hands. Give back to society. That is all you need to do when you're when you have reached the retirement age. And all this is only possible if you're comfortable in yourself, if you have been planning ahead of time, and you don't need to be dependent on your children. You should be able to take care of yourself if you have planned properly. And until we see the next time, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.